What's good, everybody? Welcome in to another episode of the KC Sports Authority podcast. Austin, JB, and Keegan here with you on this one. Welcome in, everybody, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, where we are live every time we talk about the Hawks. So thank you for those of us joining live tonight. Be sure you hit that like and subscribe button below here on YouTube if you have not done so yet. And of course, like always, you can give us a follow at KCSA Pod on all of our social media channels. We'd also appreciate if you guys would flood the chat box, as always, with your thoughts and comments about this team, because we're here to talk some KU basketball tonight. It's been a couple weeks since we had the time to jump on and talk, and a lot has really gone down.
Yep.
We're got a 3-game winning streak for basketball, coming off of some big time home wins. Didn't talk about the West Virginia loss. We've got the Bill Self health scare again. Jacque Vaughn's head coaching debut. A 4-game stretch of Darren Peterson playing like pretty much normal. So a lot to get into. The Hawks, again, like I said, coming off a 3-game win streak, 4-2 in Big 12 play. So sitting there in the top half of the Big 12, obviously still in it. You know, would love to be 6-0. We could argue could be 6-0. Shout out to our guy Bob, never misses an episode, never ever always appreciate that. Joe Ireland, love this one. Council for Prez, yeah, we gotta talk Melvin Council, because my gosh, 1, he knows how to close games, but 2, he just balls out in the second half and just knows when to take over. But fellas, where should we start tonight? What's on your mind?
The Darren Peterson saga's just never ending at this point, because albeit he finished the game, but what we saw was a little bit of a scare, to put it mildly. He rolled his ankle pretty bad in around like the 16.5-minute mark or so in the second half. Man, when he went down, he looked like he was in pain, and there was a shot.
I was for sure he was done after that.
Yeah, I mean, there was a shot of him sitting next to Dawson, and he's just got his head on Dawson's shoulder, and he looks like he's almost in tears, crying on. I'm not saying he was crying. I'm just saying he looked distraught, and he was just
which
sitting
honestly
there trying to work through it.
First time we've seen a little bit of emotion coming from Darren Peterson in regards to injury. Yeah. At least that's felt like it.
Well, and he came back. He came back into the game, and it was said on the commentary crew, and I think it was said by some fans that have kind of posted their thoughts before we are even having this discussion tonight, but he didn't look exactly like himself when he came back into the game, and that's fair. And you roll your ankle like that, I mean, you're probably going to be a little hobbled. You're probably going to be experiencing a little bit of pain. You're not going to have as much burst. All those things are going to play a factor. But you know, I did think that he stepped up in the moments that he had to. He still garnered a lot of attention.
Monster 3 late.
Yeah, it was that 3 put us up and gave us the largest lead of the game at I think it was like 8 or 9 points, and he set us up to win that game. I don't know if they kind of Colorado made a shot or two at the end that was like, whoa there, hold on, maybe we got a game, but it was Colorado.
I don't think the final score is really indicative of how that game went. Like that, I told you guys, like I fell asleep last night. I was out. There's these 10 o'clock tip-offs are stupid. So I ended up rewatching the game this morning. And I remember sitting here with like 102 left in the game. I want to say it's like 72-60 or something like that. I'm like, how did this game finish 74-69 with a minute, like a little over a minute and change? Like Colorado just got some wild shots up. So yeah, much closer final score than how the game ended up. But yeah, the Darren Peterson saga to me, like this game, I think, was a turning point for that conversation because he also struggled from the floor. Didn't have his prettiest game. Still got some shots up. Still, score 16, 13 out of the first half. Still can't find his rhythm in the second half. Although this is probably the first game that I can think of so far that the way they defended him was very intentional. He was getting double teamed. He was getting two bodies thrown at him. So they were really forcing him to play off balance and make the other guys do stuff. And that worked at times where Katie was getting turnovers. But I think this was a big turning point because now had 4 or 5 games back now that he's played pretty much the whole game, most of the whole game, 25 plus minutes. And we're starting to see some of that chemistry develop to where things are clicking and humming for most of the game offensively now, where it felt like those first 2 weeks of the season, it was like, "Give the ball to Darren. We're just here when you need us." But no, like, there's some more offensive rhythm. So that was nice to see. But yeah, it's like one of 2 things is gonna happen. Darren Peterson's gonna tweak something in the game, or Trey White's gonna get a bloody nose.
I was going
I
to say
swear,
that.
that guy's had a bloody nose every game. He's getting punched in the face every game this year. Always got something up his nose to stop the bleeding. So puts his body on the line for this team for sure. But yeah, the DP saga interesting. I know like the Baylor game, a blowout for most of that game. People were pleased that it was the way it went, but still want to see more Darren in the second half. And I think now the question is, it's not as much worried about if he's going to play. Now it's more of how do we get him to finish games and play well in the second half? Like he still has not had a good second half really in all but maybe one game this year. So where he either loses his legs in the second half or the defense. I think some of it's the defense is adjusting and making him take rough shots, and Melvin Council just takes over second half. But I think that's the next part of this is he's gotten a couple games under his belt, so he looks like his legs are back and he's playing well with the team. How do we stagger those minutes and find ways so that he's fresh in the second half and can take over when needed? Because he still hasn't been able to really close out a game effectively yet.
I like what Joe's saying in the comments. He said Bill Self would have kept him on the bench after that ankle roll, and that's I
Would he?
I really think that's true. I had that same thought, Joe. I really did. I had the same thought. I thought
new conspiracy here. Jacque has a shorter leash with players than Bill. I don't know if I buy into that. I think if Darren says he can go, he can go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, Joe. No, we haven't needed him down the stretch in any second half game that's been close because it's been the Melvin Council show and Trey White show. But to your other point, though, yes, we need DP in March. Therefore, he needs to be playing even when we're up 9 or 10 now because he's got to get that rhythm and consistency with the rest of the guys. But honestly, when watching him on the sideline, he didn't look that rough with the ankle, and it probably more. I mean, I've not an athlete whatsoever. Played a lot of basketball growing up. I twisted my ankles all the time. You could play through a lot of that pretty well. The cramping and stuff, I guess if your muscles are really tightening up, there's only so much you can do to push off. But he still looked good. I mean, he's a natural scorer, shooter, gets his shots. I hate Fran Fraschilla. I cannot stand him as a commentator.
Oh my God, dude!
But he did say he had a couple nice things to say about Darren. I was like, yeah, I mean, Fran, you're finally right with your analysis. He's got some Kobe in him. I think he even called him an assassin or a killer at some point in the game with like his ability to hunt for a shot and get a bucket. So I'm still convinced Darren Peterson's the best player in college basketball. AJ DeBonsa, fantastic. Boozer, fantastic. Some of these other guys, Yaxel Landenberg, fantastic. But like Darren Peterson just does things that nobody else on the court does, and he makes it look so easy and effortless. And this team's starting to figure it out with him. Like I said, that consistency is starting to show up. We're seeing some rhythm in the offense, moving the ball around and getting that chemistry. And I like it.
The last time when we recorded, we were talking about how, man, we've seen so many different versions of this team and how there's a version of this team that was really good without Darren Peterson, with him on the bench, with him unable to play, with whether it's due to cramping or his hamstring or whatever. And then we've seen a version of this team that was phenomenal with Darren Peterson, where, I mean, he got the ball, shot 50% of Kansas's shots and just dominated, but couldn't dominate the entire game. And what we said was, man, just think about what could happen or what this team would look like if we put those two versions of the team together. If we mold those two versions of the team. And I said, I really think that we're unstoppable. I think that we can beat anybody if we can put those two versions of the team together. And in our game against Iowa State, in our game against Baylor, we did that. We absolutely did that. I don't know how we did it so quickly after I said something. I don't know. Austin, what did you notice about at least the last? What did you notice with Iowa State and Baylor? This change, and then do you think we kind of kept that up against Colorado, or do you think we took a step back, or how do you feel about how Colorado's compared to those two games?
I mean, I hate saying this, but I mean, I feel like we're merchants at home, right? And playing in front of the home crowd's always going to help out with us, going up against, teams like Iowa State and Baylor. So I wasn't totally surprised to see Kansas play well in those two games. But, you go to Colorado, and I think all three of us in here came into this season with the biggest worry of, how are we going to do on the road, especially in Big 12 play. And we desperately needed a Big 12 road win. And, when I go back and look at the Colorado game, I feel like we were kind of sporadic. Offensively, we looked really, really good. And thank goodness we came out ready to play offensively. But defensively, I don't know what our problem is with the three-point shooting. It just seemed like Colorado hit every single three-point shot possible. Now, granted, they didn't, and I believe
which is funny. They didn't even take that many. They just hit a lot. They went 10 for 16, but they were a lot of almost like I can tell you, almost every single one I remember was a kick out or a mismatch switch. They didn't get out 2 times, so they were shooting an open three from the corner.
That was their very first shot. Their very first points of the game was exactly that.
I don't get what our problem is with the three-point shooting, and we really got to figure that out now. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem for the next 2 months. But I'm just really glad we came out.
Shout out New Testament Christian. It is always more enjoyable having a podcast when good things are happening.
That is true.
What up, Chris?
Anyways, we were pretty sporadic defensively. Now, when you go to the end of the game, Colorado, I think, had like 11 missed shots in a row, but they had some really, really good looks. So it was kind of lucky for us to, have that happen in the final minutes, and it couldn't have happened at a better time. I even said it myself during the game, but we got a lot to figure out defensively still, and it's got to be figured out now. Otherwise, when we go play Kansas State on Saturday, you look at what's happened in the past couple of games against them. They hit the most ridiculous shots possible, shots that they're not supposed to make. And, my biggest worry is that's going to happen again, but I'm sure we'll get to that.
Yeah, I do think defense is a concern. I do want to go here because I think Joe's put 2 comments up here now. Trey White's been fantastic. I mean, 15 rebounds last night, double-double once again, 9 for 10 at the free throw line. He's hitting his three-point shots at an efficient level. I mean, Trey White has been everything we could have dreamed of, and I think even better than expectations. He's averaging 15 on the year, 7.5 rebounds, shooting 47.7% from the floor, shooting 33% from three-point line, 87% from the free throw line. Like, yeah, he's doing exactly what Joe said, a second coming of Jalen Wilson. And honestly, when we looked at this roster, it was like we need him to be that because of the uncertainty at the 4 spot. And I know we're still playing Bryson Tiller alongside Flory quite a bit. But Jalen White has become Mr. Reliable, Mr. Dependent. And nothing he does is really super flashy. He puts his body on the line. He goes up to gets rebounds. He takes big shots and hits them. Melvin and Darren have all the flashiness of the game, and Flory has his moments. But this team is nowhere like near where we are without Trey White. And I think what's like interesting with this group is you can see how it all works out. Darren Peterson kicks things off. He starts off cooking, scoring all of his points early. Middle end of the first half, Trey White starts to get a little bit. Beginning of the second half, Trey White starts to get a little bit. And then the last 10 minutes has become the Melvin Council show. But like these guys are all just flowing together. And I was looking at stats, and I know some of this is without Darren Peterson. So we have to be, be a little cautious with the statistics on this. Let me flip back over. Right now, Kansas has 4 guys averaging double figures, with all 4 of them averaging 13 or more points per game. Bryson Tiller scoring 7.9. So Darren's averaging 21.5, Trey White 15, Flory 14, Melvin 13.5. Like we're getting a lot of scoring punch from every spot in that starting lineup. And we've also got Flory averaging nearly 9 rebounds a game, Trey White 7.5 rebounds a game, Bryson 5.5, Melvin 4.5, Darren 4.5. So like we're doing a lot of those things really well. And now you're seeing some of these pieces start to click where we looked at this roster before the season and individually could say, okay, this guy, if he's playing his best, he's going to be this. If this guy's playing his best, we're going to do this. How are they going to play together and how are they going to share the ball? And the more they play with Darren, I think the better they look offensively. Yes, there's still a lot to clean up on the defensive side, but Flory becoming rim protector, he's the only one in college basketball averaging more than 14 points a game, 8 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks. And Flory block party, I don't even know how many he had last night, but it felt like and now there was the one controversial one they should have called back that did hit the backboard, but Flory's been a presence, and I think we said this. About that. We just Well, plus the Melvin Council was out of bounds when he got the steal. That was
we don't talk about that either.
But Flory, I'm Fran Fraschilla. I'm going to bring it up 10 million times during the game after it happens.
Dude, he does not let it go.
That's all he does. He was really on the.
I just don't get why he hates us so much. Like I'm convinced now. I'm starting to see. Like people have said, oh, Fran hates us, and I'm like, I don't believe that. But then after I watched that broadcast, I'm like, okay, like those people had a point, and now I'm starting to understand why that's being said.
Yeah,
like we get it. He was out of bounds. They missed the call. Oh my God! Like
move on. It didn't impact the finality of the game. But yeah, Flory, I mean, 4 blocks last night, 5 against Baylor, 4 against Iowa State, 4 against West Virginia. He's becoming the presence. And I know we said this, I think last episode, but we talked about if this team was going to be really successful throughout the season, we needed Flory to be more dominant and have an impact. He only took 5 shots last night, but Flory had a big impact on that game. And you can go back and look at KU's losses. Almost every single loss KU's had so far this season, Flory's been fairly non-existent. So to see him starting to put it together, again, a lot of things are clicking right. And I feel good about that. Catching up on some comments here. Chris also put in Melvin Council, Jacque Vaughn comp. Gets a lot of the Tyshawn Taylor comp, but I could see some Jacque Vaughn in there. I think he attacks the rim a little harder, but Jacque could get to the bucket for sure. What else? Flory blocked the last. I think this is referring to me. I just like to hear myself talk, so he looks like he knows what he's talking about. I feel like I know what I'm talking about.
I feel like Keegan knows what he's talking about.
I paid pretty close attention to the games.
Also, I see you, Joe. Thank you for the compliment on the
shout out to the stash. What do you think?
I've been growing it out.
Cut mine and go to just the stash. I've told Shannon I've wanted to try it, but I'm too scared. Oh, Fran. 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 Hear himself talk. 100%.
Yes.
Short man syndrome. For sure. Little guy syndrome.
Wait, okay, so how quick sidebar. To have little man syndrome, how tall do you have to be, or how short do you have to be?
5'7" or under.
5'7" or under. Okay.
I think is where I would put the cutoff.
I'm 5'11". We're good. I've always thought I was short though.
Yeah, I think 5'7" feels right.
Yeah.
But yeah, Fran, he's got good nuggets of info every now and then, but you can tell, and I think a lot of this with Fran is he plays a character. Like he's in the entertainment business, and he knows how he's going to make his money as being this entertainer guy. I do think the guy is really knowledgeable, about basketball, but also like he plays a role. Like Bill Walton, R.I.P. Bill Walton. I don't care what anybody says. One of the absolute worst commentators of all time, the last
100%.
20 years in basketball. The man offered nothing about the game of basketball when he was on there. I don't know why he was getting paid. Don't know what the whole purpose was of him being on a broadcast, but it clearly was not to talk basketball. He was playing a role of entertainment. And he was funny, he was witty, he had these crazy things, but none of it pertained to the game of basketball itself or added any positive impact to the broadcast. And I think Fran's kind of like that, but yeah, don't care for him. Let's switch to the big elephant on the program right now, being Bill Self and his health. Once again, don't have all the details still, other than an ambulance came down Fieldhouse the other day before they took off to head to Colorado. Supposedly on the 911 call was someone complaining of chest pains. KU statement said nothing of the sort, just said he wasn't feeling well, went to the hospital as a precaution, flooded him with IVs, and he's feeling better. That's literally, I think, unless I'm missing something as of this moment right now, we have not heard any follow-up other than Bill said he feels much better and hopes to be on the sideline, Saturday.
I'm no expert.
He was on Hawk Talk.
This is kind of where I was thinking, Bob. I could see that. I had a tailor that works for me in Topeka, and she would have moments like that because she's AFib, and she would have to miss like a day and a half of work and be in the hospital and be on IVs, and then she's fine 2 days later. So don't know what all's going there, but it again raises the questions of how much longer can he take it? How much longer does he want to take it? And does it change the conversation at all on the future of the head basketball coach at Kansas, or should it?
It 100% does. I know that KU didn't mention anything about chest pains, but I think I'm going to default to what the report says from a 911 dispatcher, right? That's bringing an ambulance into Allen Fieldhouse to pick him up. It's if that said chest pains, there were chest pains. I don't know. I don't know if I can be convinced otherwise.
It also leads to fatigue, dizziness, an erratic heartbeat. Again, that's
scary, man.
My tailor that worked for me, she had that quite a bit, and it was like sporadic and random. But when she had it, she was like, "Hey, I'm going to the hospital. Don't feel good. Chest hurts," and then she's back 2 days later. Still not great for his health, as these things are slowly, or not even slowly anymore, they're stacking up and leaving some doubt. I'm personally still on the side of he coaches until he's ready to call it quits himself. And I don't think, again, unless he's never come out and said his doctors have encouraged him to stop coaching. None of them have said, hey, this is a strain on your health. Like you could tell he's changed up his coaching a little bit. He's been less fiery, I guess, on the sidelines as often. But I don't think, to me, it's done enough to take him out of the equation as far as coaching goes.
Yeah, he was on Hawk Talk earlier tonight, and he said he was going to be back at practice tomorrow and expected to be back for the Kansas.
He was at Hawk Talk.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I got to hear a little bit of what he said. But yeah, he sounds good, and hopefully he continues to stay healthy the rest of the season. Hopefully nothing else happens to him. I truly hate
if you have to put the over under now at 2.5 seasons he coaches, not including this one, of course. So 2 more full seasons. Basically, I guess you can't do a half season in college basketball. Let's say over under 2 seasons. Or no, let's rephrase. Over under 1.5. Over under 1.5. So last year being his last year, or he's going to coach at least after that. I still take the over.
I feel like I'd take the over. I mean, but I will say there's a big part of me that's like, he's going to coach 1 more year after this, because I mean, how can you pass out, or how can you pass up coaching the guys that are coming in next year. I mean, our recruiting class is bonkers next year. It's insane. This is going to be the best recruiting class since Frank Mason's recruiting class.
Probably.
Like, it really is. So,
and they could still add Tyron Stokes to that.
Could still add Stokes. Yeah, man. I don't know how you pass that up.
He's a demon, man. The fact that we're going to go from DP to potentially Tyron Stokes, and we also have Tay Kinney coming in. Oh boy, just like
That'd be insane.
It's already insane.
That's why he's not going.
It's already.
I don't think he's going anywhere. At least that's why I got at least 2 more seasons. I'm stoking it up. I love it.
Me too.
Yeah, the roster's too talented. He's too competitive. Again, we can go back to the last 2 seasons. Like, if there was a time to leave, let's say we struck out on Darren Peterson, he wasn't coming, then I could maybe make the argument that Bill says, you know what, screw this, I'm done, I'm out. The last 2 years were sour, but he also doesn't strike me as the guy that wants to go out in a bad year. Like, it'd be one thing to have a good season, lose a tough Sweet 16 matchup, but it's a whole nother thing to have what we just saw the last 2 years, and I don't think he could do it that way. So, maybe it's different. Maybe KU wins national championship this year, and he's like, hey, I'm going to ride off into the sunset, the highest of highs.
I wouldn't blame him. If we won the national title, then ride off into the sunset, Bill. I think you earned it. Like that. I know I've been I've been this podcast's biggest critic of Bill Self, but if he wins, I will give him his flowers and I will say, ride off into the sunset. You've done well. I would just send him off. I think there's no better way to leave it. There's no better way to.
That's why Travis Kelce was 100% retiring if we won the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
Or last year, honestly.
He still could.
I think if we would have won it last year, he would have retired.
Probably.
Didn't he just have his 13th season?
Yep.
So is Taylor Swift is in his ear like 13's my favorite number, and how perfect is it that you can have 13 seasons?
I think he's going to come back for one more year because he doesn't want the way this season ended without Mahomes to be his going out party.
And Eric Bieniemy's back.
Bieniemy's back. Also, by the way, right now Kansas plus 4,000 to win the national championship.
Yeah, invest, buy stock.
Placing it right now.
Look,
how much you putting on there?
$10.
Look, after that West Virginia game, and I know we didn't get a chance to talk about that. I said after the game, like, we're not winning the Big 12 regular season title. Like, I know it's 3 games in. It might be a little bit of a overreaction from me, but
got to lose, man, and they don't look like they're losing anytime soon.
I know, but the thing is, and I brought it up earlier. When we've gone into these K-State games over in Manhattan, we've had like a good stretch. And I remember, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago? It was 2 years ago. We beat Houston at home, and we had Kansas State it was like 2 days later, and we went and lost that game. So, can we change the narrative? Can we continue to be good and not let Kansas State, it's just, I just want us to beat Kansas State in Manhattan for once.
Yeah. Well, and looking at the schedule, you've won 3 straight. You knock off K-State this weekend, which you should, 4 straight. You beat BYU at home next week. Huge top 25 matchup. You're on a 5-game winning streak, and you're probably at worst 2 games out of first place, at best tied, assuming Arizona somehow were to drop 2. Arizona's got a light schedule the next 2 days, although right now they're only up 4 in the second half. But you've still got this big week ahead of you that you have to go in and take care of business at K-State. You can't do what you did against West Virginia. You had no business losing that game in West Virginia. West Virginia is not a good team. You went in there, played like crap, let West Virginia beat you up, and the second half they just took off. Like we were all texting back and forth of, all right, the writing's on the wall. You can see it up. There's the game. But the K-State game is probably one of the scariest on the schedule because you just know they're always amped up and juiced for that game. PJ Haggerty's going to shoot 30,000 threes and hit 25 of them against our 3-point defense. But their roster's terrible. They're not a good basketball team. They should not have any business being in this game. KU has to be able to control the tenacity of the game. They have to play physical early, play with momentum, and guard the three ball 5% better, and you should win by double digits.
I mean, the one thing I like about, going into this game, we finally have a guy on our team that, brings the juice and energy, Melvin Council. And, I really need him to have a Christian Brown moment, where he chucked the ball into the stand.
He totally will.
Like, I need to see Melvin, bring his character out and show like, hey, K-State, screw you. Like, I need to see that from him. And I think if he has that moment, then I don't see a problem with us winning that game. But like, we need to,
I think Joe's got
we've let
Trey brings it too. Trey for sure.
Oh,
brings it too. He puts his nose on the line every game.
I just want Melvin to have a moment, in a rivalry game. He had that, screw you dunk after, towards the end of the Mizzou game. Like, got to see that again. So
yeah, it's the icing on the cake that makes it just perfect. And vibes are high. I do think vibes are high. Again, there were moments of last night where you're like, man, if we could just tighten this up a little bit. But again, you out rebounded them by 12. Yeah. Scored more the same in the paint. Held them pretty much in check from the free throw line. My other concern was they didn't force many turnovers. I think Colorado had 3 turnovers the whole night. So that's a concern. Also goes into some of the defensive struggles they've had. And you got beat in transition a little bit. But outside of that, like KU pretty much controlled that game. Even though it was neck and neck all first half, KU pretty much controlled that game in all the categories. And you could kind of like you could feel it that KU, I mean, they should be the better team because they are. But you could feel like every time Colorado had something to get in, KU had some sort of answer for, whether it was going back to Flory, Trey White getting a bucket, Melvin taking over. So like all the pieces are there. One takeaway I did have from last night, and then I want to get your guys' thoughts on Jacque's coaching debut. But one of the things that stood out to me watching that game, and I think Fran said it a couple times too, and again, I hate to agree with Fran on things, not just Bryson Tiller being a young freshman that's clearly got some strength to add on. KU was weak going up in the paint a lot. Like there were so many, whether it was a ball that was stripped out of your hands, which either they called a foul or it was a turnover, missing easy looks around the rim because they couldn't finish over contact. That was just something that stood out to me. Bryson for sure being one of them. Trey White was one of those guys. I think Floyd does a pretty good job most of the time, but finishing at the rim, still something else I think we need to improve on. Obviously Darren can do it, but I thought that was something that Colorado did pretty well, is they were physical around the rim and made every bucket at the rim difficult. And that's where they got a lot of their steals, were strips right there at the rim, or Bryson missing an easy baby jumper, things like that. But outside of that, I thought KU played pretty well. You can tell when Darren's off his game a little bit, he kind of looks for the three. Like he didn't have all of his in the paint shots, some of his floaters, things weren't hitting, but my gosh, he can go get a 3 anytime he wants. But let's get to Jacque Vaughn. So, and here, before we even talk Jacque Vaughn, I find this interesting. So Jacque Vaughn's hired on as an assistant coach. Jeremy Case is promoted to the assistant or associate head coach. So basically, assistant head coach. So if Bill Self were to not be here, Jeremy Case theoretically would assume the head duties of head coach. Yet Jacque Vaughn was named the acting coach for the night. Find that a little interesting. I mean, in reality, I don't really care. It doesn't really change anything. But why make Jeremy Case your associate head coach instead of hiring Jacque on as the associate head coach? If this plan has always been we're grooming Jacque to take over, which it feels like that. But any thoughts there on Jacque taking over the coaching duties for the night versus Case?
For me, I kind of looked at it like this is the program saying we are making Vaughn the dude. Like he's going to be Bill Self's successor. And that it kind of stinks. But with Jeremy Case, I mean, maybe they just thought, look, I mean, yes, you've been around, you've been on the staff longer. Um, by all means, you've earned this, right? But then we've got this guy Jacque Vaughn, who is a program guy, who has so much coaching experience in the NBA, and they just looked at it like, man,
I mean,
at the end of the
it's
day,
obvious. It's obvious he's
who are
the
you?
guy.
Yeah, it's like, who are you going to trust? Case, who's still young and up and coming, or Vaughn, who's been in the NBA, who's been there, done that, who has a great relationship with the players and everything. And I'm sure Case has a great relationship with the players too. But it was KU saying, "This is our guy," and I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. I think Vaughn would be great if Bill Self had to call it quits.
I'm reading some of Henry Greenstein's tweets from Hawk Talk earlier since I missed some of it. And one of them Self said that wasn't the most artistic or prettiest game I've ever seen, but it's probably the latest I've ever stayed up watching a game. No joke. But yeah, said that he was feeling a little bit of chest pains. Doctor said he was good enough to go if he wanted to, but was just very dehydrated. But I was trying to see if he had any comments on Jacque coaching, and I haven't seen anybody else that tweeted anything about Bill talking about Jacque coaching. But I mean, yeah, that was the clear, obvious choice. I thought. I think, from my understanding, Jeremy Case has been the main guy when it comes to scouting opponents and putting together the tapes of scouting and the game plan. So he probably does have a lot of impact on not like the X's and O's, but like game plan preparation. But yeah, it was obvious Jacque was going to be the active head coach for the night. Like, I think it would have been weird if Jeremy Case was, and that's nothing against Case. It's Jacque Vaughn. Like, you brought him here for a reason.
Yeah,
give him a chance. And the things that I was looking for with him coaching last night was rotations and minutes. How is DP's minutes going to be managed? Who was he pulling off the bench, when and where, and what lineups was he going to roll with? And I really didn't have much negative. I don't think I had anything negative to take away from Jacque's coaching night. I think they had to burn a couple timeouts in untimely situations, so they weren't quite as prepared for the double teams and traps at half court as maybe they would have liked. So I think they had to burn 2 timeouts. But I thought for the most part, he adjusted fairly well with what was needed. Like, I don't think this is taking anything away from Bill's coaching plan, but El Marco did not play much. 13 minutes last night. Jamari plays 23. So clearly Jamari got a lot more run time. DP obviously playing 31 minutes takes some of those minutes away. But I thought they were pretty strategic. Like, there were, I think, twice in the first half, DP came out right before the 12-minute timeout and then came out again right before the 8-minute timeout. So they were trying to stretch some of those minutes. But yeah, overall, I thought that was pretty good. Yeah, I think if you want to get picky with it, I do think there were moments where Bryson Tiller played a little too long. Depending on matchups, honestly, it feels like Trey White at the 4 is better in certain matchups instead of going the 2 bigs, because it just gives you a little bit better spacing. But thoughts on his coaching debut?
I don't want to give too much credit to Fran Fraschilla, but he did like to credit Jacque Vaughn and his out of timeout scenarios that he was pressed with, and we actually executed, I thought, more times than not out of timeouts. So, and that's something that I've been critical of Bill Self with. It's just not been his strength lately, and that's something that was always Bill Self's strength. How do you do out of timeouts? It was something that it was automatic.
I can't tell you how many times in my mind I still see the Ochai Agbaji dunk underneath the basket and the Andrew Wiggins dunk under the basket just constantly rotating through my mind every time I think of Bill Self out of bounds plays.
Quick side note, I had a thought the other day. I'm like, man, I was about to say that Darren Peterson is like the most exciting player to watch in probably ever in a Kansas uniform, but he never dunks, dude. He never dunks. I think about the most exciting player for me was probably Ben McLemore. Ben McLemore
Yeah, he had
all the time.
highlight
He
plays.
was a highlight reel dude, and DP.
I
I
mean,
mean, he just makes a lot of tough shots. Like that's
I'm
kind
gonna
of what
see
he
if I can
does.
pull this stat up while you're doing it. How many dunks there are on the year per player?
Has he dunked it like more than once? I
I
think
mean,
he
the only
might have
dunks I
one
can think
dunk.
of are Melvin Council dunks.
I remember him getting an alley oop against UCF. I
Ooh,
forgot
here
who
you go.
threw it
Okay.
up, but I think it was Tiller. I don't want to say it was Flory, but like somebody gave him a lob.
So this is as of January 17th, so not including last night's game. And this is Google AI. Flory has 46. Feels about right, maybe a little high. Bryson Tiller 15, also understandably. Guess who's third with 10?
Council.
Cole Rosario
No way, bro.
has more dunks
God.
than Trey White, Melvin Council, and Darren Peterson. Darren Peterson has recorded 4 dunks on the year, according to this.
When? Show me the tape.
Oh, he had a dunk against Green Bay. I do remember that.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah.
Against
I mean,
anyone
But no,
notable?
to your point, yeah.
Yeah.
His game is not like it's not super flashy. It's just like he almost moves in slow motion to a degree to where it's just like it's just so easy and natural for him. He floats through the air around guys. He's got a good pull up jumper. He works his mid range game. He can back guys down, spin off him. But like nothing. Yeah, he did, Sean Morris, but he did miss a dunk a couple. I do remember that. But yeah, there's nothing super flashy. Like his highlight reel at Kansas is probably mostly 3-pointers, big 3-point shots with a couple. Like I mean, his putback last night was really nice off the miss. He got up so fast, and part of his game reminds me of Andrew Wiggins. I thought Andrew Wiggins had one of the quickest like first jumps, like quick jumps. Like Wiggins had so many putback dunks and tip-ins off of misses because his first step was just so quick. And I think DP's got a lot of that. But yeah, again, his game so far at Kansas has not been like electrifying. It's just been, wow, he just put up 20 points in 12 minutes without sweating. How did he do that? Yeah, we'd love to see Cole Rosario get more minutes. Somebody mentioned that a few minutes ago. I don't think it's going to happen. Bill seems like he's in his 7-man rotation like always. And then out of trying something new, Jaden Dawson getting a couple minutes. I think it's going to be one of those two. And it's just whoever practices better that week. But the 7-man rotation is pretty much set. And if it's a rough game, like if we're playing more than 7 guys, it's a game we're probably losing or a game that everything looks ugly and Bill's just trying to throw somebody out there to make something stick. But rotation
we're
seems pretty much
absolutely
set.
dominating.
True. And again, foul trouble is going to play a degree. I mean, if DP and Melvin Council were both to get foul trouble in the first half, completely different look out there. You're getting a lot of El Marco. But I still personally, I think I said this last episode and I got a little bit of heat for it. I still think our best lineup is Melvin, Darren, Jamari McDowell, Trey White, and Flory. And not having Bryson Tiller on the floor, not having El Marco on the floor, because Jamari's been the best wing defender, and he's hit some big shots from the floor to where he's like earned that playing time. Like again, I still look at El Marco. El Marco doesn't do anything. His stats are meaningless.
He was a little bit more aggressive this past game.
He had that coast to coast layup attacking the paint, but we just don't see enough of it. And Jamari looks to get a shot off. And again, there's holes in Jamari's game too, but I didn't think at this point in the season we'd be saying Jamari was top 6 in the rotation, top 7 in the rotation, and here he is.
This conversation got started talking about Jacque Vaughn and his debut, and one of the things I noticed, or at least something I didn't notice, was any pick and roll like with Flory. Am I blind? Did I watch that entire game and not see like a classic like pick and roll alley oop to Flory and he just flushes it? I didn't see that. Was that because
they played a lot
Vaughn?
They played a lot of motion on the outside and like the wing pick and rolls, and Flory pretty much played a lot of the post, but Flory was also getting great positioning.
Yeah.
So they didn't really need to run the pick and roll. But I think also the way Colorado defended, like they were bringing a lot of their defense up anyway. That if you bring another man up to set a pick, you're bringing another defender with you. The fact that Flory was anchoring and getting his position kept one guy out of the paint. So I think they had to move the ball around just to get defenders off of Darren, which I think it would have been a little messy with the pick. But yeah, that's a good observation. I don't.
Yeah.
Sean says he didn't see it at all, none.
Yeah.
I don't recall seeing much again, other than maybe once or twice. But I do recall seeing some like Trey White going and setting a screen or a backside screen for Darren to come around off of something. There was a little bit more of like guard action, a lot more guard action, which naturally, I mean, you look at the way the NBA is, it's a lot of guard action. Look at the guys Jacque's played with, elite ball handlers and scorers on the perimeter. So it's probably more of a natural tendency to go that route too. But yeah, that's a good observation. Austin, did you see anything that stood out to you other than the timeouts?
I think we came out really well in most of those timeouts. Trying to remember, I think it was like the 8-minute timeout mark, I do believe, in the first half. I think Colorado made it. What was it? I think it was like 23-21 us.
Yeah, we called the timeout knowing that the next dead ball was a TV timeout. I think we did that 3 times last night where we called a timeout because we couldn't get to the dead ball to go to TV timeout.
Yeah. I was about to bring that up. I wasn't a big fan of that, but for the most part, I thought we looked really good coming out of those timeouts. And lately we haven't done a good job of that, but I was very pleased. And, like I said, if it weren't for that, I mean, I think Colorado would have probably beaten us last night, but yeah, I was very impressed. I really liked what Jacque Vaughn had to say in his post-game press conference. I liked the way he broke down the game, especially talking about Flory and DP and how they did, and I really enjoyed that. And
and again, I slept last night, so I didn't have a chance to go back and check that out either.
Touch of gray.
Touch of gray.
Yeah, he delivered a really good line at the very end. He was talking about DP shooting really well, and he said, "Well, the bank was open, late night ATM withdrawal." That's what he said, and then he walked out. So I thought that was funny, but yeah, he's well spoken, and yeah, I really liked what he had to say after the game. So, if he ever, for whatever reason, has to step in and do this again, I don't doubt that. I think we'll be in good hands.
Yeah, you guys are gonna have to create some content here for yourselves for a second, so I can read Jacque's comments post game. You gotta catch yourself up.
Oh my God!
I feel like the way we played defensively last night, it felt like we were playing like an NBA team defensively. I mean, you watch NBA games and both teams are getting open looks left and right. And that's kind of how I viewed the game last night from a defensive standpoint. But I don't know. What'd you think, JB?
I would agree on the defense. For me, I felt like I liked the aggressiveness. I liked everything that we had going with Tiller. If it would just had like my issue with Tiller though, I like his aggressiveness, but he's just not executing right now. That's been my main takeaway in terms of just like, wow, just one thing I would change about that game.
So at the very beginning of the game, Bryson Tiller pulled up a 3-point shot.
Yeah, early.
And I can only imagine what Self was saying to his TV in his house. He was like, "Tiller, what are you doing?" Like, I wish Self recorded himself, like live streaming, watching the game and everything, so that way we could all see and hear what he's saying. But I bet he said a lot of swear words yesterday, and I wouldn't blame him. So, and I remember what he had to say whenever he had his first health incident, and he came out and spoke to the media. It was after the year after we won the national championship, and he was talking about watching the Duke game because he got suspended, I think, for like 4 games to start that season. And he was in his hotel room in Indianapolis watching the game. And he was like, I've got people in the hallways telling me to shut up, and I got the front desk, like, hey, what's going on? So I can only imagine how he was feeling and the way he was reacting last night. So,
I mean, ultimately, it felt like we were in control. Like the first half, we kind of touched on this earlier, but I feel like we controlled the tempo and everything. First half, it got a little close at times. But it felt like we were up 10 like the entire first half. It really felt like that. Even like Keegan said earlier, that it seemed like we always had an answer, and I fully agree with that. Any big shot that Colorado made, we made another one of our own. The second half, they kind of made it a little bit more interesting, and it was there were those moments where you thought, oh, here we go. This was the trap game that we knew we were going to lose, and this program just can't catch a break. But no, I thought we responded well, and man, it just feels good because this is going into a big game. Hey, against K-State. I don't know. I mean, we don't have to preview that tonight, but
Bob, I am just old enough. I was 3, but just old enough to watch some Jacque Vaughn. And he was my first favorite player. I ran around. I had a Jacque Vaughn, a basketball, and I would run around in our house saying, "I'm Jacque Vaughn," trying to score buckets. So Jacque Vaughn was my first favorite player. But yes, I don't have memories watching him, but I know I did watch him.
I was also old enough, but I also didn't know KU existed back then because I was living in Chicago at the time.
Okay. I was not alive, so I'm sorry, Bob.
Some comments I like from Jacque last night. We tried to establish Flory early in the game. A little bit to our detriment. The guys were trying to look for him too much at times, made us a little bit stagnant. But then we had a nice stretch in the second half where it just came naturally through the flow of the offense. So he was able to score some big buckets for us, but then, of course, defensively make some huge stops like that. Trey White, it's really hard to take him out of the game. Overall, his ability to play different styles as needed, making threes, rebounding the basketball, transition, he's huge. And yeah, Trey White, to me, like, you could make a valid argument that the most valuable player on this team, Darren Peterson. You can make the same argument for Melvin Council, but I think you could also make that same argument for Trey White, just the way he does things. What was the other one I liked? On Melvin. Yeah, Melvin was great. He's done that before for us. Really just he gets it in his head that he's not going to allow us to lose. That's the mentality I love. Like, I'm not going to let our team lose. And clearly that's what he does in the second half. The plays that he made gave us some momentum. He gets to the rim. He was aggressive, and he gave us life when we needed it. And that's something that I think is the biggest aspect of his game so far. Is like, when we need something, he just goes and makes it happen. And I think Trey White's, close second to that, but he just goes and makes it happen. And it's just crazy how, like, you can almost write the story of how a game's going to go. Darren's going to get his buckets early. He's going to come out for a bit. Trey White and Flory are going to get involved a little bit. Darren's going to come out in the second half, try to get his stuff going. Trey White's going to score a little bit, and then 10-minute mark, here comes Melvin Council, and just puts the hammer down and takes over the rest of the second half and says, guys, get on my back. We're going for the dub. Because the way he takes over games in the second half, his tenacity on the defensive side, he attacks the rim harder and faster. He's fantastic. So it's nice that we have 3 different guys that can go and score for you, but you also have a guy that's like a true closer. You would like to see Darren Peterson be the closer as well because he is your best player, but we have a true closer, and like, he's closing out games kind of the way Frank Mason would. Frank would take these long ISO. Now, his different play style, but Frank would take these long ISO plays and then get a pull-up jumper or attack the rim late in the shot clock and ice the game out. And Melvin does that, and it's just incredible to watch.
I think the biggest surprise this offseason was how good Trey White ended up being And then I would say Melvin Council, while he may or may not be the MVP of this team, he's the type of guy, he's coming in with, this is his last year of eligibility, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
He's coming to this program. This is his first year here. He already feels like a 4-year guy.
Absolutely.
A 4-year Kansas guy. He is loved by the fans like a 4-year Kansas guy. And I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it. I cannot wait to see him play again. I hope he just lights up K-State because he is, man, I have so much love for this kid because I think back to last year and the year before, we talked about how the players on those teams didn't play with the letters KANSAS against, across their chest. Man, Melvin, he plays for Kansas. He plays like it's his life depends on it. We're gonna need that in this game against K-State, and man, it's gonna be fun to see what happens.
Hopefully it's fun.
Hopefully it's fun.
I don't think that game's ever fun. I think
it's gonna be so stressful.
It's a high pressure.
It's going to be incredibly stressful.
Chewing your nail kind of game. But maybe it'll be easy. I mean, again, when was the last time we went into K-State with a player like Darren Peterson that could just take? I mean, I think
True.
back to 4 years ago now. I think it was the national championship year that Ochai just basically went in and won us that game.
Yep.
In Manhattan. And was that the last time we won in Manhattan?
Yep.
So 4 years ago. Obviously, we have the Svi walk-off at Lawrence, a couple years before that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, K-State, Stillwater, both of those have always been West Virginia. Those three, for whatever reason, when we're the better team, just the energy those teams play with is off to the whole nother level. But on paper, we should do quite well. I mean, they're basically a one-man show, and I think PJ Haggerty is going to get his, but we've got the guys that can defend him too.
Yeah.
Tiller is an investment for next year too. Big, yeah, for sure. If Tiller sticks around, sophomore year Tiller could be quite big, especially playing next to Adkins next year. Paul Imbia, whether he's here or not, you'll have some good size and athleticism. And Tiller, I think each game you can still see where he needs to improve for sure, but you can tell like if he hits part of his potential, the two big man game for sure works. But yeah, anything else that we feel like we need to touch on? I'd like to say I think we should try, whether it's Saturday. What time is the game Saturday?
I think it's at 7.
7?
I thought it was in the
Sounds
afternoon. Right. Maybe I'm wrong. No, I think it is at 7.
It is 7 o'clock Saturday. So more than likely won't do a post-game episode Saturday night because there will be at least 2 other bigger shows than us doing their post games. And I don't like to compete with that unless I could convince myself that more people would join ours than theirs. But definitely think we'll have to do a post K-State game, win or loss. Because you have basically a full week off between K-State and BYU. So maybe next week we'll get in 2 episodes, get in a post K-State basketball one, a little bit of BYU talk, and then maybe we can talk some K football, transfer portal, cleaning up, doing some work in the portal for sure. A lot to dive in there. Football schedule. JB's been kicking around a Chiefs episode idea that we want to try and dive into, so we'll try and get to that next week as well. But yeah, if you guys that are listening, watching, if you guys have things you'd like for us to talk about, we obviously love Kansas basketball and KU sports in general, and we talk that 99% of the time. We will talk anything sports. I have so many things I'd like to dive into. Just a lot of those things I want to dive into doesn't result in good viewership all the time. So we stick to what we know. We stick to what we like best. But yeah, if you guys have stuff, drop it in the comments, send us a DM, tweet at us, message us. We'd love to start throwing some ideas around of what you guys want to listen to us talk about as sports fans. But yeah, next week we'll have a good week to dive into maybe some non-KU things with a little bit of time in between games. But we'll wrap up there at the hour mark. Appreciate you guys joining us as always. Again, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at KCSA Pod. And if somehow you were still into this and you haven't hit that subscribe button here on YouTube, what are you doing? Just go ahead and do that. Send it to a couple buddies. Be the cool guy that makes like 5 extra Gmail accounts and has all 5 of them subscribed to the channel, like I do. Would appreciate that. I have 3 of them on 3 devices right now watching this live stream as well to boost the ratings, so appreciate it.
You do
if
not.
Any of you else will do, I do. TV, phone, TV.
You don't admit these things to the audience, Keegan. Come on.
It boosts the numbers. It's all about boosting the numbers. But yeah, we'll wrap up there. Austin, JB, Keegan, this is the KCSA podcast. JB with the handlebars. Get that wax. He did get that beard ready for it.
Yep.
It's coming in thick. Austin's trying.
Dang it.
This is the most I will do. I can't go any further than that.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, let's get out of here. Rock Chalk, everybody.
Rock Chalk beat K-State.